It's train time, starting now, right after this small intro.
In compliance with COPA, this video is not for children under the age of 14. Viewer discretion is advised. Sponsored by Canadian Model Railroad.ca and by donations from patrons like you. Further support provided by miniprint.ca. Make your layout come alive with the 3D creation of miniprint.ca. And now on with the show with your hosts, Peter and Joe.
Well, Peter, what time it is?
It's train time. Episode number 18.
June 2021. So that's mean it's a year and a half
Yes,
that we have started that show.
yes.
That's pretty good.
And a good chunk of that was COVID.
Yes, matter of fact, we're still under the...
Restrictions, yeah.
Yep. And we cannot have our crew
No.
for the Canadian Model Railroad.
Not yet.
But it doesn't mean that things are not getting accomplished.
Oh, no, there's lots being done.
So,
And we'll be talking about a little project that you were working on in this show.
yeah. And your little project yourself upstairs.
Yes.
Well, I should say underneath.
Underneath, yes. Rewiring.
Yeah. And the change that we're doing into the short line.
Yes, and we have our usual photos of the month,
And the view from above.
right?
But tonight is a little bit a different type of show.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, first of all, it would be rolling on the top here is the update on the Kenora
The
Railroad
Kenora
Museum.
Yes.
As you can see, they have started the exhibit of the model railroad
Yeah, the HO layout, yeah.
and the end scale.
Right. And
HO on the bottom and on
scale,
the back.
yeah. That's right.
A lot of things happen in Kenora. Now the Kenora Museum will be open this summer, according to the report from Richard Roy,
Yeah.
one of the administrators there. What will happen in there is they got their student for the summer,
Right.
and they will be open. And now the biggest change I think happening in Kenora is that museum will now be handicap accessible.
Yes. Yes. With what they've done with their new building and adding on the lower level is wheelchair accessible, where the layout and everything is, and
Yeah, the layout was in the building itself,
Yep.
in the lower floor, and the museum was upstairs. Where it had a lot of stairs.
Yep.
And they took all the artifacts of the museum, brought that downstairs. Took out the exhibit of the model railroad that
Right.
was there, and had a building built and come in and being adjacent to the actual building of the museum. And in there, that's where they got building a brand new exhibit of model railroad.
Right. Yeah. And that part of that depicts that Kuwait and Kenora area too.
Yeah, right up to Malachi.
Mm-hmm.
And also the other way coming west to a certain extent.
Yep.
So in there, they will have a lot of models that will be done from the actual buildings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know who's doing them right now, those buildings, but some of the building also that were on the old exhibit will reappear in the new exhibit because they were so well done.
Yeah,
right?
they had some pretty good buildings there from that area.
So, folks, you probably have seen, because I was rolling that on B-roll, model railroad
Yep.
exhibit that they are doing. But folks, you will be able at that point to go and visit that museum from, I believe, now, middle of June, right up till Labor Days.
September, yeah.
Yeah, September. What I do not know at this time is if you need to have an appointment to go.
Yeah.
That I do not know,
Yeah.
because the restriction in Ontario are different than here in Manitoba.
Yeah, it may be prearranged. You have to, limited number and an appointment to go in, so you don't have a bunch of people showing up at the same time. And we're following up on another museum, the Transcana Museum.
Yes, we have entered into collaborations in some sort with the Transcana Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And their campaign right now to raise funds to build a shelter for the first steam locomotives that been built.
In Winnipeg shops.
Yes,
Yeah, 2747.
the 2747.
It's partially restored, but is sitting out in the weather. And our previous episode, we had a bit of a blurb on that they're building a shelter, or this is what the money is being raised for, is to build a 3-sided shelter for it, and with platforms so people can actually go up and look inside the cab and stuff. So
now their campaign has sent us the actual movie or video relating to the building of the 2747
yeah,
and the campaign, which will now be rolling for you to see. I find it quite interesting because I didn't even know that these locomotives have been built in Transcona.
yeah, because that video shows a number of them being built in Transcona shops. They're assembly line type of thing, and of course 2747 was the first one.
Yes. So It's Train Time will be promoting that campaign so that they can reach their goal, which is 473,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And enjoy that portion of the video. Enjoy that video, and we'll be back in no time.
Okay, enjoy.
CN 2747 was Western Canada's first homemade engine. It was immediately put into service and sent to Alberta, hauling freight, passing through small towns along the way. Chances are it also helped in the war effort, transporting troops and goods. Thankfully, the war in Europe and Asia ended. But new threats arose for Canada. An ally during the war now became a threat, and Canada had to react and create distant early warning stations all throughout the north. CN 2747 was there as well. It helped transport troops towards CFB Churchill.
Okay, we have a contest coming up,
Yep.
and it is based on this little piece of machinery in front of us.
Yeah, it's a line in an industries, but to give it a little bit of background to that industries.
It's from a Cornerstone kit.
Yep, is the Cornerstone, the stamping plan from Cornerstone, number 933-3075.
Yes.
Now that was the complete kits for the complete building.
Mm-hmm.
What it turned out to be, now it had been modified, I might say highly modified,
Yes,
to become a background building
right.
in Winnipeg.
And you basically split that in half and extended end to end, right?
I split it in half, not quite in half, and I put it side by side and I add on in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and then I add on something different at the end.
Right.
two different portions.
Mhm.
One of them I cannot disclose because it will give too many clues for the contest.
Right.
But it's 3-story on that building.
Yep.
And the bottom story, it's all about shipping and receiving.
Shipping and receiving, right? Yep.
And that is totally finished in details.
Yes.
The building in there has got 29 lights, 30 lights, 32 lights, something
Yeah,
like that. Anyway, it's got piles of lights inside and outside. Then the second floor, part of the second floor, have this
Piece of machinery.
piece of machinery, that line there. And on the third floor, well, is the office and is something else.
Mhm.
But this here for the contest is you have to figure out what kind of a line, assembly line it is. Okay, what kind of industry it is
Mhm.
in that building.
Yep.
Because it's not a stamping plant. That I can tell you that right
No.
off the hop.
Not anymore.
Though a clue I will give you is a commodity that
Most adults enjoy.
most adult and even some teenager enjoy.
Mhm.
Some other don't. It's common all across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, some big plant of that exists at many different parts in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but here in Winnipeg is definitely a plus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this assembly line, if you pay attention to the way it goes from the far right, the far left, going to the right, going back to the left. Okay, if you follow the sequence in there, it should give you a pretty good idea of what it is.
Now
Okay.
this is also the ultimate in scratch building, because all of the pieces, other than the people, are all bits and parts and scrap pieces, and
It's all sort of parts that will have end up in the garbage can.
yeah,
Matter of fact,
you've got some bridge parts.
I got bridge part in there. I got some styrene reject on the sense that they were not good for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I got in there even some plexiglass that was bound to go to the garbage that is there.
Yeah, you've got this little.
Yeah, I even got on the top of the middle part a piece of a squeaky toys for my dog.
Josie, yeah.
Yeah, that is there. Then the whole thing, after it being assembled, I add on some more details that were just there in part box doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I painted that black, and then after that I chrome it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that line, second clue,
Has to be
stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
So, and that's what happened in there. I even got stanchion here also from locomotives,
Mhm.
and all sort of things like that.
Yeah.
The only thing was not a scratch built that I had to cut the piece is the base, the diamond base that is there for the safety walkers.
Yeah, the
in there.
checker plate
Checker
floor,
plate board.
Yeah.
That I had to cut from a sheet, but the rest is totally scratched. From,
Okay.
Matter of fact, as we're talking, Peter, I've been rolling B-rolls
Mm-hmm.
that show it 2 or 3 times all around so
Yeah.
that they can have a good idea.
Have a good look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now
So-
the rules of that contest, Peter, are very important, because if somebody give us an answer on Facebook or Facebook group,
It doesn't.
they will be ignored.
Has to be on the podcast comments.
Yeah. You have to enter your answer on the comment below
Mhm.
this video. And in episode 19, which is July, we'll give the name of the winner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, you might come in that you say it's such assembly line and it tells everything just by what you will say, or you might have an answer that contain what kind of industries and what kind of assembly line and what you think at that point you're doing in there. That will be taken considerations. And then when we got all the answer from those comments, because those comments will run right up till the 5th of July of
So
this year's
That's good.
2021. So
Good-
you got
good.
about 3 weeks
Yeah, 2-3 weeks. Yeah.
to bring your answer in. And we will not answer or reply on any of your comments there. So at the end of the contest, we'll gather that, the winners, put that on a hat, and somebody independent from us will draw a name.
And episode 19 will say who the winner is.
Who the winner is, and asking that winner to contact us via the personal message on our Facebook group, and we'll send you your prize.
And then I guess on that episode we'll have to show the complete building, eh?
More than likely, the building will be totally finished by then, and will be there. That building right now, by the time it will be finished, is 42-inch long.
Yeah.
So it's not a small building. It's not a small industries. It's a huge industries.
Yep.
They are serviced by rail, and they are also serviced by truck, by semi, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as about as many clue I can give.
I guess, yeah. So good luck to everybody out there in podcast land, and we hope to hear from you as to what you think this piece of machinery is.
Absolutely. And from now on, let's go to our next segment. Right after this short pause will be the photo of the month.
Ever wanted to take a nostalgic trip back to the steam era? Through the Window of a Train is the book for you. Or go back into history with the Memory of the Moonlight specials. Through the Window of a Train for $19.95, or Memory of the Moonlight specials for $21.95, or 4 limited time offers. You can get both books signed for only $39.95 plus shipping. Order now.
Lots of good photos again.
Yes, and we still get some.
Yeah.
So we were right up to the end of 2022, and it keep accumulating.
That's okay. We got photos in the bank. So
Well, the fact is some photo that are so well done that would be kind of change. You know, they will end up sooner than later.
and our viewers that are sending in photos, just be patient. Your photos will get on an episode at some point. Might not be right away, but keep watching. They will appear.
Is one thing though, Peter, that maybe the viewer don't realize, but that we do in here is when is the pictures coming in. Let's see, it can be Joe Blow sending the pictures, but all those pictures are well inspected. And if in there it says, example, that is a stamp in there saying that is such and such people that have took that picture, that's the name that will appear underneath of the picture.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the name of the person who sent it, because the credits have to be given to the actual photographer.
Yes.
As much as possible. And if by any chance that we overlook a pictures and somebody say, hey, look, this is my picture, not his pictures.
Yeah.
Well, our sincere apology to you guys, because we check everything as much as we can.
Yes.
And if we cannot find a name for an actual photographer, we may say that it's on an unknown photographer, or just putting the name of the sender, because that could be the sender that took that picture.
Right.
So that is, we're taking a very, very close eye to any credits to
Yes.
be given to the right people. The same thing for videos.
Yes.
And now that we have seen the picture of the month,
View from above.
the view from above, courtesy of Dan Shettle.
Right. Enjoy. very good view from above.
I always enjoyed them,
Yes.
Still
makes me want to have a drone.
Me too.
Anyways, on Facebook group, or CMR Facebook group, you posed a question about planning a scene and scenery, I believe, right?
Yeah, I was asking, how do you plan your scene, and how are you detailing your scene, and what make you at that point detail those scene that way?
I sent my answer in already.
Yeah, I noticed that. Maybe you want to tell the viewer what your answer was.
Well, basically what it is I look at the space that I'm going to be working with, and I have a kind of a concept in my head that's based on my own imagination, maybe a scene that I've seen in my travels, could even be a memory from when I was a kid. And so I take that concept and kind of lay it out in the space that I have. But as you know, and I'm sure a lot of modelers know, is that as you progress in the construction of your scene, some of the details change a little bit as you go along, and you tweak it here and you tweak it there, type of thing. And lots of times you may come back to that scene months later and still do some more detailing on it that you think it needs. So, we've talked about this before, where the scene starts to kind of talk to you as to what it should have as you progress.
It definitely does. I like to leave a scene for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it to a certain point and leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
Because suddenly beside that scene you're putting something else, sometime on both sides or whatever, or behind or in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And those new elements that you put in would be a very big influence
Mm-hmm.
in regard to that specific scene.
Yep.
And those other scenes work pretty much so the same way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The fact is many different thought in regard of detailing a scene. Well, okay, we got people that will totally enjoy a layout that will remain plywood valley,
Plywood Pacific.
plywood Pacifics, and they run their train and they're happy with that.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with it.
No.
And then you got some that maybe cause of a budget or whatever will do some scenery, add on some building and some other things, but the building won't be painted and nothing of the sort, and they might put a light underneath and the building glow and so on. Some will add sparse tree here and there. We saw that a lot on pictures, right? Some others will really forest what got to be forest, to the point where personally I don't use and I don't like, but some people do like, and it saved them time, and they will end up with a forest full of puff tree.
But that's the thing about modeling, is that everybody has their
take.
way of doing things.
That's right.
And I think the main thing, as long as you get your jollies from it.
Well, it goes back to what I was saying. Is nothing wrong, is nothing right.
That's right.
Right? I don't like the puff tree, and I should qualify that, is because I like to plant all the trees so that the lights of the layout create a shadow underneath of the forest bed.
Yes.
That's the reason why I like it that way. I find it more natural.
Yes.
Now, as far as detail is concerned, nowadays we can get all sort of detail or make all sorts of details.
Yes.
Right?
3D
From
printing.
things that we got around us, or the 3D printing now that come in very popular and an excessively great tools for the modelers. You can details all around the buildings. Now you have all sort of vehicles to add onto it, all sort of different type of electronics that you can add onto it. So the possibility of taking a scene that will have been great in 1960, now that same scene in 2020 and 2021 would be super detailed
Yes.
because of that. And
I've gone back to some of my scenes 2 and 3 times to add little details, and it may be something as simple as maybe a few more people, or it needs a park bench or something. Anything like that. You can revisit a scene numerous times and still add detail to it, just to bring it a little more to life.
well, especially when you're talking about people. People bring a sense of a story into a scene. Now, those people, you can get them from Prizer, from Mini Prints, from many different places. Mini Prints is starting to do some very fantastic little people all over the place. And they are North American, they're not European. But those people on the Prizer or in the Japanese one and so on, and Chinese one, if they're not in the position you like, you can position them the way you want, because an X-Acto can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And like on the inside scene, like the one we got for the contest, those figure in there are China figures. The very, very cheap figures. Those one I will use inside of buildings because you do not see as many details.
Right.
But if the same people were in the front street where they're right under your eyes, then you will want to have
A little more detail.
little more details.
Yeah.
Now, also the fact is I believe each of those scenes, okay, is a story.
Yes.
So you're making a story, and that scene has to tell the story. Because when you got visitors, they look at it and so on, and you're telling them the story and so on, and get them interested. And if it's many, many details all over the place, and where some of the details bring your eyes to something else, right? Like we did with the Grand Marais diorama,
Yeah.
which is a good example.
Yep.
And you can see that the Grand Marais on the previous episode that we
Yes.
had.
Yes.
Then at that point, the people start to make comments. I will give you, Peter, the example of when we were a member of the Selkirk Model Railroad Association in Selkirk. If you remember when you were coming into the club, I had redone that whole turnout in there.
Right, that little peninsula.
Where it was on top of a mountain, and you
With
had
the-
a road and the
The
bridge
farmhouse and the grain elevator and
and the pastures and
Yep.
all that, and then it was going into canyons, and that was Tony that went from there right up to the
Yep.
other end with the swamps and so on, and the moose. I even had a garden in there where the people were working in the garden. And some visitor that came through one of our show there were saying, it remind me of where I was raised.
Yeah.
Or that looked familiar. So where did you get the idea? And so on and so. And technically the idea was coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
It was a total concept out of my imaginations that I had made there, and I had made it to work with what was there.
Yeah, and close to the garden you had the old truck with a tree
Running right through it.
growing through it. Yeah.
Yeah, all rusty
Yeah.
and so on,
Yeah.
and that type of thing. But what I'm trying to convey to you when I say that, when people come in and say to a modeler, that remind me of something. I recognize that building somehow. Or I have been there.
That's the best compliment you can get.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it always have somebody that will have in their life see an area a little bit like that. And the more you detail it, the better it is.
Yep.
Now, the secret to that, Peter, is we are all humans. And we have been raised that everything has to be in perfect line. And it's got to be calculated. If they say that the telephone pole is at 80 feet from the other telephone pole, every telephone pole should be at 80 feet from one another, regardless what the land is all around on the layout. Well, when you go out there and you look at that, they're not necessarily 80 feet apart, and they're not necessarily in line.
Trees aren't always
and
perfect.
They're not necessarily straight.
Yeah.
And the tree has all sorts of different forms. Okay? The conifers all look alike, but they're not the same. So, to be able to make a perfect scene on your layout, you have to learn the imperfection.
Yes.
The minute that you master the imperfection, you will have perfect scene and totally realistic scene on your layout.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that you don't have to be a veteran modeler to do it. You could be a beginner.
And go out, if you're out walking the dog or on a bicycle trip, look at what's out in nature. You'll see dead limbs, dead trees, fallen trees, lots of green trees. Just do a little observing, and you can copy that quite easily as you do your scenes.
It goes to observation, imagination, and realization.
Yes.
They are the three key words in modeling.
Yeah.
And each one of them have a succession. So some of them do it with paint. When they paint a scene on a canvas, we do it in miniature in 3D. It's an art.
Yes, it is an art form. Yeah.
So Peter, technically, a lot can be said in modeling. A lot of people think in a different ways. There's a lot of school of thoughts in model railroading. And even when you do those scenes, when you add on the lights, it's another dimension. When you're adding sound, is another dimension, and so on. And your trains there, technically they are the actors. Anything else is the scene.
Yeah. Yeah. So, good luck with your sceneries.
Oh, absolutely. Good luck, guys.
Try lots of different things and enjoy yourself.
And also, Peter, will be coming in more and more now with some how-to videos, where we'll be taking some of the buildings that are projected and having a small video or 2-3 parts videos covering that project.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Winnipeg downtown project, with the number of building that goes there and the one that would be modified and some were totally scratch built. The scratch built would be done pretty much so in detail as far as video is concerned, so that you see how it's done. Now, those buildings will not be just a shell. Okay, these buildings are the representation of what is there. And each floor's got lights and so on, and you got interior scene, exterior scene, and all that. So, is a lot in there that will have an influence on giving you ideas on how to scratch build. And the secret of scratch build, don't be scared, just get at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Give it a try.
give it a try, no matter how it turn out. You know, and if it doesn't turn out to be a front thing, put it in the back. And I can tell you and guarantee you that buildings that you had started that you didn't like it, you will get back to it, and you will do something that is pretty marvelous with it.
Yeah. Yep. Just give it a try.
Now I hear that there's some show down in the state that are reopening. The RTM in St. Louis would
Okay.
be on this year's.
Okay.
Some other show are virtual. But there's a lot of show now that are starting down in the state. Here in Canada, the Calgary Super Train has been canceled. Well, that was in April. It got canceled. The Regina one that was in May being canceled. We do not have any words yet on what will happen with the Edmonton show or the Mega Train show here in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So the minute that we know any indication in regards of what's happening with the show, we'll make sure that we let you know.
Yes.
If it's not in the podcast, it would be in our Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
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 And Facebook has changed some rules again
Oh, yeah. Okay.
in regard to groups. And if a thread's got 100 comment in there,
Mm-hmm.
you can write a comment. They will destroy it. Period.
Oh, they've limited the number of comments.
Yep. And they changed the number of complaint on the post.
Okay.
So you will put a post in,
Mm-hmm.
and you will have 3 people who goes and complain against your post without you knowing that they complain against you, and they will scrap your post.
Wow.
So they said that the administrator can control those things,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that would be the case.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was so far episode 18.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we thank you, viewer.
Don't forget to get on board with the Transcana Museum.
That's right. And don't forget the contest,
Mm-hmm.
right? We thank our viewer for having been with us so long, you know, and keep supporting us and trying to make us better in what we're doing.
And please send in your comments. We like to hear from you.
Well, the comments, when we got comments, it helped us improve what we're not doing right.
Yeah.
Because we're not professional, okay? We're just ordinary guys that want to share the model railroading with you.
Yeah, and we've only been doing it for a year and a half now.
That's right. So it never been our intent to be professional, right? We work all our lives. We're both retired.
We want to share the modeling experience with you people out there, fellow modelers.
The magic
The magic.
of creating your own little world,
Yes.
you know, because it's nothing more relaxing, Peter, especially when you got a little bit of stress on life, you know, we all have that. And suddenly you end up in your bench doing some modeling, or you're working on the layout. That's the most relaxing things. The time flies. You don't think about anything. Your stress is gone, you know.
You're in your own little miniature world.
Yep. You're the mayor, you're the prime minister, you're the president, you're whatever.
Yep, you're everything.
Well, so guys,
Enjoy.
enjoy. See you in episode 19. And I'm looking forward to see the answer on the contest.
Yes.
Have a good month.
Take care.